Hi everybody. Today for our webinar, we will be talking about 5 ways to use ChatGPT for data analysis. So briefly, I will explain what ChatGPT is, how does it work, and then I'll talk about the 5 ways briefly, and then I'll move on to a demo where I showcase how to actually use ChatGPT. Okay. So what is ChatGPT? Well, ChatGPT is a smart computer program that can understand and create human-like responses. It's also an advanced chatbot that you can have conversations with, and it can also answer these questions in the same way that you're asking it. It can be used for a variety of things. Now, these are just 3 of the things I could think of, but there's literally thousands of use cases where you can use ChatGPT. So some of the stuff which we will be focusing on is data analytics. Okay. So how does ChatGPT work? It takes an input in the form of a prompt. And how it works is it's basically like asking a question to your friend, like, hey, how do you do this? Or could you please explain this in a simple way? It's basically like that. You're asking ChatGPT a question, but it's called a prompt. So ChatGPT, the way it responds is it digs into its database which it was trained on, and that's how it's able to respond with such accurate information. Now, ChatGPT is not 100% accurate, so you do need to have the skills to identify what's wrong with the inputs, with the outputs, that ChatGPT back. But it does know 80%, I would say 80-90% of the stuff it gives you back is pretty accurate. So the way ChatGPT works is it can also build on prompts, and it remembers your previous conversation. You can have an extremely long conversation with ChatGPT, and your very first question, if you ask it to refer back to that, it will remember. So the reason for this is you're able to build on your prompts to refine the output that ChatGPT gives you. Okay, so moving on to our first way, explaining code. ChatGPT can explain in simple terms basically what your code is doing. So you could be using Excel, you could be using RStudio, you could be using Python or SQL, which is SQL. And if you don't understand basically what's happening, or maybe your work colleagues sent you this code and it's just a wall of text and you have no context, no comments, you can basically put that into ChatGPT and it will do its best to explain it to you. And if you don't understand, you can say to it, please explain in simpler terms what this means, because I'm still not understanding, and it will do a very good job in explaining. Another way it explains code is it will offer suggestions that you primarily would not have thought of. It would offer ideas that could help your code be more efficient, more refined. So the second way, it helps in generating code. Like I said, with regards to suggestions and ideas, it could also offer like the way it generates code is you could give it certain criteria. Maybe you have code in Python that you need to convert to SQL, or the other way around. It'll do a very good job in doing that for you. And the reason we do this is because just to save time. It could be an extremely tedious task writing out code in many different languages. So the reason we'll use ChatGPT is just to save time. But again, you have to know what you're looking for to spot the errors, because ChatGPT is not 100% accurate. So commenting code is not the most talked about topic. The reason because it does take a bit of time to comment your code. Commenting your code means you say basically what this line of text is doing, what this function is doing, what this query is doing. But that's basically what commenting code is. Now, it could be a tedious task as well to go through 100 of lines, sometimes you're dealing with code that has thousands of lines. Now, if there's no comments there, you won't really understand, in simple terms, what's happening. So we could take that code and paste it into ChatGPT and ask it to just create some comments for us, just so we can better understand it. Also, the reason we would want comments in our code is because, let's say 6 months down the line, a year down the line, we need to work on this project again. If we do not have comments there, we won't know what's happening. So comments do a really good job of helping us remember what this section of code is doing. Okay, the fourth one, data cleaning. So ChatGPT can generate considerations and suggestions to clean your data. Now, cleaning your data is a crucial step is a crucial step when dealing with data, because if you don't clean your data properly and you get to the final stage, which is the reporting and dashboard stage, the information that you provide your decision makers could be wrong. They could, because ultimately the decisions that they made is based on the data that you provide them, or the dashboard that you provide them. So cleaning your data is really, really important. And sometimes you're dealing with columns where you have maybe 100 columns, and it could take you a few good hours to go through each column to understand the data that's in the column and how you can clean it. So you could be trimming data, you could be removing values, you could be changing values, you could be doing calculations. So we could take that data and paste it into ChatGPT and say, hey, give me suggestions on what would be the best way to clean this data. And it really would do a really good job in helping you spot those areas where you would need to focus on, so you do not waste your time. Okay, so the last one, debugging code. Now, debugging code is also another crucial aspect of it. Mostly when you get errors in your code, you could be a beginner, you could be a well-experienced data analyst, coder. We all run into issues where we have an error. And now sometimes errors are not the most clear to understand. So that's why we would use ChatGPT. We would paste the code or the error essentially into ChatGPT and say, hey, explain this to me. What am I doing wrong? Where and how can I fix this? It can give you suggestions. You paste that back into your code. If it's still not working and it gives you a new error, again, you paste it back into ChatGPT, say, hey, this didn't work. And it will obviously give you another suggestion. Okay, so let's get into the demo. So to start off our prompts, since our topic is data analytics, we need to tell ChatGPT that, hey, you are an experienced data analyst with many, many years experience, and I have this issue and I would like you to solve it for me, or provide an explanation so that I can go about solving this myself. Okay. So I do have a prompt prepared here. So our prompt is, you are an experienced data analyst. You are going to analyze the data I give you and provide explanations. Okay. And I do have a small piece of code here. It's just a function, a simple function. Okay. And this is what we want to explain. So let's say we saw the summary, we want to understand it, we want to get better at our Python knowledge, but we don't necessarily understand this function. We just put it here into ChatGPT. We prompt it with this, and let's see what it gives us. As you can see, it says this code defines a function called calculate average, right? Which it is. It is a function, and the name of the function is calculate average. So that is right. And it even breaks it down for us step by step. It tells us the function, what's in the function, what's the function doing, and it's even giving us an output, which is great. So this is an example of how we can use ChatGPT to explain code. I mean, this could be for anything. It could be for Python, or Excel, Tableau, SQL, Power BI, whatever question you have that you're bugging about, just put into ChatGPT. and it will do a pretty good job in giving you an accurate answer. Right? If there's anything here that, was not so clear, we could say something like, I did, sorry, I did not understand let's say I did not understand this, right? Let's say we don't understand what this line is doing, right? I don't understand. Please explain. Please explain. Okay, let's see what it gives us. Again, as you can see, it does a good job in explaining that this is a list, and it explains what's in the list. So this is a good example of, if the first time you ask and doesn't give the most clear of answers, you can always prompt it again and say, hey, please be a bit more specific. And then, of course, we'll do that for you. In terms of generating code, I also have a prompt here ready for us. So let's say you want to get better at being a data analyst, right? Let's say you are and improve your skills in Excel, right? Now, let's say you need a data set. Where do you get a data set from? Now, there are many places to get data sets from, but I would say the easiest place to create a data set would be on ChatGPT, and that's through a prompt. We can say, hey, create an Excel demo data set. You can limit it to 10 columns and 10 rows. This can be any random information. It's just for practice purposes. So let's see if it can create this for us. Okay, so this is what was generated. And it looks like it didn't clearly understand our prompts, which is okay. That will happen. Remember, ChatGPT is not perfect. Let's try and refine our prompts. Okay, so create a Excel demo data set, limit it to 10 columns and 10 rows. We can say something like use information about best places to visit. Okay, we can say use columns like name, place, age, etc. Okay, let's see if it understands our prompt this time. Okay, so we can see it is doing a better job. It understood our prompt much better. This is just an example of how you refine a prompt. If you don't get the output that you expect, as you can see, it did give us some demo data. Now all of this data is actually it's not real. It's fake data. It's made up data that we can use to do further analysis on. It even does a job in explaining the columns for us, which is great. Yeah. Moving on to commenting code. Now for commenting code, for this scenario, let's say we have a very long code, right? Like we'll show you around in a minute. But let's say we have this code and we are completely lost. Looking at this code is just overwhelming. Let's say something like add please. Let's just see what it does, right? Again, this is the code that we got, maybe from a colleague, maybe from an online source. Maybe we wrote this code, and we forgot to put comments in it. But let's say we come back to it like a year later. It would be very hard to understand what's going on here if there are no comments, which there are no comments in this situation. So a good use case, we could just take it, put into ChatGPT. We said add some comments, and this is the output. And again, if these comments aren't as detailed as possible or as detailed as you would like, we could say something like, please add more detail. Or we can say something like, please make the amend much more detailed. Let's see if it does a better job. Okay, so I can see it's already doing a better job in adding more comments here. Okay, so it understood our prompt this time. And as you can see, compared to this one, like it's just maybe one line, one sentence, whereas after we asked it for much more detailed, once we prompted to give us a much more detailed code with comments in it, you can see it's doing a really good job at that. So if we come back to this code in a couple of months, we won't be lost. And also if someone else needs to use our code, which that will happen, you will be sharing code with your colleagues. They will also understand what's going on. That comments in your code is a really good skill to have. Let's move on to debugging, right? So what do we mean by debugging code? Debugging is simply when you have code, it could be a query, it could be even Excel, and it could get an error, right? An error message. Sometimes it's hard to understand that error message and how to fix it, I do have an example of that. So this would be an example of an SQL query, an error message. Looking at this code, it's hard to understand. We wouldn't really know where we went wrong, how to fix it. But if we prompt ChatGPT to explain this to us, it will, let's say. So we can say something like, I got this error message. We can say something like, please explain or fix it, or fix the error, right? And again, it will do its best job to explain what happened, why it happened, and it will most likely give you a suggestion. As you can see here, to fix the error, you need to include gender. So no matter what the error message is, you don't understand it, or if you're struggling to understand it, you can always just put it in here. And then if you do take this code, so this would be an example of a SQL query. If you paste it into your database, and it still gives you an error, you just take the error again, you put it back into ChatGPT, and it will try and improve it and to fix the error. I do have one more error message here, and this would be an example of a Python error, right? So it's a traceback error. Let's say, again, we don't know what this is, we don't know what's happening. Just put it into ChatGPT and let's see what happens. So it's saying, here's an example of how you might encounter. So it's telling you where you could have went wrong, right? It's also giving you a solution to this. Which is just awesome. So these are just a few ways of many of how you can use ChatGPT to help you with explaining code, generating code, commenting code, cleaning your data. Now I didn't speak about cleaning data in this demo, but let's say you have, I don't know, maybe an Excel sheet with, 1,000 columns, right? It would be very time consuming to go through all those columns, a very tedious task. You could just take all those columns, paste it into ChatGPT and be like, hey, what would be the best way to go about analyzing this data, right? And it would give you back suggestions, as we saw here. It'll tell you what you should most likely be focusing on. You could give it context, what the data is about, where you got the data set from, are there any null values? You could give it more context to help your outputs be as refined as possible. And it would just tell you basically, this is what you should be doing, what you shouldn't be doing, look out for this. And again, if you have any issues, any doubts in yourself, just paste it to ChatGPT, give it a prompt, and it will definitely try its best. Remember, ChatGPT is more like a personal assistant, your own personal assistant. It's there to help you with any queries, questions you have. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you for today's webinar. If you liked today's webinar and you found it very interesting, please like, comment, and subscribe. If you have any other suggestions or anything that you would like explained, any topics, please put it down in the comment section. Thank you.